welcome back to In Her Rubber Boots. If you're new, my name is Katrina and I am so glad that you're here. So today I am starting a new series on frugal living. It's something that I naturally do. I've grown up, not always having a lot of money. When I was in college, my grocery budget was $15 a week. So I've learned to make do and I've learned to make sure that food doesn't go to waste. So today I'm going to be talking about how to use up old food. And I know that's sort of almost a taboo subject, if something's kind of going off, we're like, ew, that's gross, and just throw it straight in the garbage. And I totally understand that, but there's some foods that you can still use. In particular, bread products can be one that we tend to toss, and they can really be used for a lot of things. The first thing I want to show you is a few things you can do with bread that's stale or starting to get kind of dried out. So I've got these onion buns. They have great flavor, they're super delicious, but they're just so dried out. Like, they're not expired yet, but they're almost expired, and I just need a way to use them up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop these guys up, and I'm going to make a breakfast casserole. So here you can see I've got them all cut up and just put in a baking dish. You can add whatever vegetables you like. I didn't have a lot in the house, so for this one I'm just using onion and yellow pepper, and I'm going to fry those up before I put it in with the rest of the dish. I'm then going to add my eggs, milk, salt, and pepper and just give that a stir. And once my vegetables are done cooking, I'll throw them over top of the bread and then pour my egg mixture over top. I will also be topping mine with just a bit of cheese. I don't have much left, but just a bit for flavor. And I'm going to serve bacon on the side. If I had been more organized, I would have made the bacon in advance and put bacon in it, but I was a little pressed for time, so I'm just doing it with the bacon on the side. Here you have the finished product. So I made mine more of like a savory French toast. If you wanted it to be more omelet-like, you could have added more milk and eggs. Another super easy way to use up old bread is to make breadcrumbs. If you can't make it at the time, you can even throw the buns or bread in the freezer and then just take it out and defrost it, and then just cut up your bread and pop it into the blender. Don't put too much in like I was here, or you'll have trouble getting it to actually blend up. And just blend it until it becomes breadcrumbs. Added some Italian seasoning and some salt and pepper, just so it's got some flavor. But I don't want to do too much flavor, that way it's still versatile to use in different recipes. So I just spread it out over 2 trays. And I've preheated my oven to 300 degrees, and I'm just going to pop these in for about 10 minutes. If you don't already, owning 2 trays that fit side by side is like the most fantastic thing ever. So like pretty much everything, you're going to cube these up, keeping in mind that you're going to be eating them in a salad, so you kind of want them to be bite-sized and not too ginormous. So my husband is allergic to garlic, so I'm not going to be putting garlic on these, but they would taste good with garlic. I'm just tossing them in olive oil, using a little bit of paprika, cumin, parsley, salt, and pepper. So I've thrown on the seasonings and some of the olive oil, and then I'm going to toss and then add more olive oil. For this, you're going to preheat the oven to 375. Spread them out in a tray and pop them in the oven until they are crispy. And then there they are. They're in for about 10 minutes. Golden and crispy. Another idea for bread products would also be to make stuffing. I didn't show that just because it's not really the right time of the year, but stuffing is definitely a great way to use up bread that is, dried out. Vegetables. A lot of us throw out vegetables. One of the things that I like to do with vegetables that are starting to go off is to make soup. So if you have a bunch of vegetables and you boil them up and then blend them, you don't know whether those vegetables were, starting to go off to begin with. So that's a great way to use up vegetables. I also have some other ideas that I will show you next. And another tip that I have is lettuce tends to be something that goes off. So if you know that you're not going to use a whole head of lettuce, instead try buying spinach. And instead of letting that spinach go off, when you're done using it, just throw the rest of it in the freezer. And then when you make something like pasta or whatever, or maybe a smoothie, you can throw that spinach in there. I have shared this before, but roasted veggies are not only super easy, but a great way to use up any leftover veggies. So let's say you've just got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you can just cut it up and throw it on a pan. I just add some oil and seasonings and usually add Parmesan cheese and just bake it in the oven. So this time I've got carrots, green beans, zucchini, onion, potato, just whatever I had in the house. Another thing that we tend to toss would be milk that's going off. And I totally understand why, right? I mean, it's, you know, you smell it and it's a little bit sour and you're like, oh, definitely throwing this out. But truthfully, we buy soured milk products and we use them. So you can actually use milk that's going off. I wouldn't necessarily use it in things that you're gonna maybe taste the milk, but in baking or pancakes, French toast, that kind of stuff, you can totally use milk that is starting to go off. So here are some ideas of ways to use up milk that is going off or just extra milk that you have. One of my go-to things if I have a lot of extra milk that hasn't gone off yet, is to make pudding, and then with the pudding to make desserts. And yes, in Canada, or at least in this part of Canada, we have bags for our milk. So we buy it. So pudding like this uses up 2 cups of milk, so that's a good amount if you're trying to use up milk. I love to save money by buying things that are 50% off because they're close to their expiry date. And so for this here, I'm just going to tear it up into pieces and put it in with my pudding and then have some whipped cream and berries with it. So pretty much just a lazy trifle, but it's a good way to use up milk and it's a good way to save money because this here cost me half of what it would otherwise, and it won't taste dry because I've put it in with the pudding, which will absorb some of the pudding. And here you go, I've just put whipped cream and I've used frozen berries because that's cheaper yet, and trifle it is. French toast is a great way to use up bread that is dried out, as well as a way to use up milk. Even if the milk is going off, you can still use it in French toast and it still tastes great. So it's nothing too fancy here. I've just mixed my milk, eggs, and cinnamon. I'm going to dip my bread in there and cook it in butter. Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that gave you some ideas on how to use up old food. If there's anything else that you would like me to talk about, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new. I will be doing more videos on frugal living. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!